Hello and welcome to Game All Night, the audio show. This week, Carla Kopp joins me from Weird Giraffe Games. Carla is kind of a fresh face around the industry. She hasn't done a lot of publicity yet, but she's starting to, and I hope with some encouragement we can get her out to do some more. But she's most famously known for, producing games. She just sold Stellar Leap not that long ago. Fire in the Library is a great little push your luck game that's going pretty gangbusters right now. So that's about to release. And of course, she's got a new Kickstarter starting. So a whole bunch of stuff. And we definitely dive into starting a company and where the heck Weird Giraffe came from. I mean, come on. Well, if you're fans of the show, you know I love Adjective Animal. Just ask T.C. Petty on his show. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this interview. I had a lot of fun. She's definitely made me laugh several times, and I had a great time doing it. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Game All Night.
Another Game All Night. I am soon to be joined by Miss Carla Kopp of Weird Giraffe Games, but currently I need to throw it to Dan. But Dan is not here tonight. Tonight I am joined by friend of the show, Mr. Gil Melo. How are you doing, Gil?
I'm doing awesome. I'm big shoes to fill.
Well, Dan's not a small guy, but it's okay. I think you'll be great.
I'll try to. I should have a little stew in here so I can be a little taller. Yeah. My beard is not as nicely groomed as him, and I don't dress.
No, he's constantly fidgeting with it.
I'm just slack.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go for him.
Well, that's fine. Well, I appreciate it. Gil lives a little over an hour away, but he made the trip and heeded the call to come on tonight since... Dan couldn't be here, and, we're going to try out. Maybe you can squeeze Dan out of a job. I don't know.
I was the 10th person who tried it. I was free finally to come down.
Might not be far from the truth. No, just kidding. Absolutely. Well, anyway, one of the things Gil is known for is, he did Craft Beer Nation. So, of course, we have to be drinking some pretty awesome beer. So, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking, I don't know if you want to show here, but we are drinking Single Cut Beersmith. So, they are out of New York. They do amazing, like a little more on the hazy side IPAs, a lot of body, kind of a juicy bombs. The one you're drinking is their Does Anybody... Remember Laughter, which is one of my favorite beer. I think they did that once. I'm not sure if they brew that regularly, but a lot of citrus notes and stuff. And there's kind of a big nose on it. The aroma is just wonderful. I'm drinking one of my favorite, which is Sip of Sunshine. It's also an IPA from Lawson's Find. Just have a big kind of a citrusy notes, a little more juicy, tons of hops, so we're in good company today.
Absolutely. They're both delicious. You brought me yours, and I gave you mine, so it's kind of like a little beer exchange on screen.
Sounds good.
So.
Didn't sound correct. No, just kidding. Sharing is caring, so sharing beer is the best way of caring for friends.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it, and thank you for coming on. So let's check in with Carla. Miss Carla, are you drinking anything this evening?
Well, I'm not drinking anything alcoholic, but I do have a Powerade, so
there you go.
That's something.
You're drinking something. That's really all that matters. I mean, Gil, do you approve?
I approve people to drink what makes them happy. Food and drink is all about happiness.
Right, and I think so there's an important takeaway, right? Because there can be a little bit of beer snobbery and uptightness around craft beer and everything, and we don't want that creeping into beer. We don't want that creeping into board games either, right?
No, not at all, no.
Absolutely not. So Miss Carla, you are the major domo, the designer extraordinaire, the owner of Weird Giraffe Games, and love the name. Adjective is the best way to name anything. So what does your company do? What exactly?
So we try to create games that are focused on player interaction, that are lighter, that are family friendly, and that play in about an hour.
That's great, because I wish more companies did that, right? When you think about it, if a company specializes, then we know what to expect from their titles, right? Like I know what to expect from a What's Your Game title. I know what to expect from a Button Shy title. So you want games that play and around that mark of time, I think that's perfect. So what kind of mechanics really seem to work well for you?
So every game I've published so far has a different mechanic with it, and every game I plan to publish has different mechanics. So I think you can really do just about anything.
I agree. I think it's completely fair to say that there's pretty much anything, could be played in that amount of time. Now, you've also done small box and you've done large box because, the new one that you're about to put out is not exactly a small box, is it?
It's more of a medium box. It's in that weird, it's not a tiny card game, but it's not like a huge, whatever the regular size box is.
If somebody were to ask you, what is your most well-known title, what would you point them towards?
At this point, it might be Fire in the Library. That was our most popular title. It's still on pre-order now, but our most popular game that's already out is Stellar Leap.
You've been in board gaming just about as long as me. I think you said 2012, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Can you remember that long?
Well, I remember what you told me.
That's what my website says, and that is what is true.
So what kind of got you into the hobby? Because let's face it, 6 years is not necessarily new, but it's not necessarily old either, right? We've done it long enough that we've been around and we've seen some stuff. What kind of got you started back in the day?
So I graduated college in 2011 and I moved to a brand new area. I didn't know that many people and I wanted to have friends and stuff and not be a complete loner all by myself. But I'm also, I'm also an introvert. So the way to get friends, I discovered board games, and board games were really awesome with actually interacting with people and not
Right.
putting a bunch of stress on me. And the only other option was just to go to bars all the time. And I have nothing against bars, but going to a bar every single night, there's a certain crowd that just hangs around bars.
Sure.
So I went the board game route, and board games are just awesome because it's oh, hi, new person. Let's play this game and focus on that. And while we're doing that, maybe let's talk about ourselves a little bit, but not too intensely that we're both scared off.
It's even better when you can play a board game in a bar, and then you can kind of get the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, we actually have a number of bars where you can play board games in there. Or you have to have a good board game bar. It can't be super loud. The tables have to be the right size.
Right.
I'm pretty particular about where I play board games, but we do have a number in Huntsville that are really good for.
You started out and you start going to these board game events. How did you find out about them? What was your main kind of, way in? Because let's face it, these things aren't sitting on the public library on a board or at your local grocery store.
I first got into them. A friend wanted to play a game. So I started playing games that way. It wasn't until I started down the whole publisher route where I got a lot of friends that played board games. And that was just finding groups on Facebook, posting on Reddit. We have a local Reddit, which is actually a really nice Reddit where people are friendly. Yeah.
You might have to change my mind because, my old co-host Gary from back in the day was a huge fan of Reddit and he loved it. And I don't know. I haven't really, I don't know. Part of me is just I haven't had a good experience when I go there, but it also at the same time, it's the way it's organized. It feels kind of confusing too, because it's all threaded conversations, right?
Yeah, it's weird and different if you've never worked with it before. I don't post on it a lot, but I just do it in my local Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are like people that aren't too happy about certain things, but this is how I actually got a board game night started, was just by posting on Reddit, and it was at the local cupcake store. So I actually got to,
Oh.
yes, board games, cupcakes, coffee.
I
One day
like where
they might
this
have
is.
beer.
I might need to visit when I come down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun night, and I got to meet like a ton of new people that way. And I mean, do you like board games, cupcakes? You're probably a pretty good person.
Right? I mean, it's kind of like if you don't like one, then you're probably playing like the wrong kind of games then. Because if you don't like cupcakes or you don't like coffee or you don't like games, wow, that's like three strikes in my book. It's funny how a shared interest has a much better way of bringing people together than just like hanging out in a bar. But I find it interesting because I get different answers to that question because a lot of people, it's, I started gaming and then I found a group, and Meetup actually has cropped up several times as a main avenue. And I know whenever I try something new, I try that. But you're the first person that kind of actually went the Reddit route.
Yeah, I don't think it's limited to my community. I just think that a lot of people don't think that their community has, their own little Reddit, but there's so many out there in different areas. Like whenever I go to a new area, I kind of like look at their Reddit to see like if any events are going on or anything like that, because you can like learn a lot just looking at the Reddit.
So there you go. So I think the next big thing is Reddit how-to video for board gamer noobs like me who have no idea what they're doing. I mean, I came from Usenet groups years ago. I know how to do tech things, but this one just, I don't know, it doesn't click.
Well, I'm not a good person to do that. I know how to do my local one. I can upvote a little. I can do like the very basic things, but like tell me to post somewhere else or go somewhere else, and I'll be like, I don't know about this. I don't know the rules for this one. Like, because each Reddit has its own little community and rules, and if you go against the rules, will you just be kicked out? I don't know. I've heard horror stories about the different subreddits around, so I stick to my own little one, and I'm good with that.
How often do you get to game for fun? Because I assume with, building a company and designing games that there is an amount of work you have to do with that. But how much do you get to actually go and run other games outside of that?
So I run that board game night at Sugar Bell Cupcakes every second and fourth Tuesday.
Okay.
So I get at least that. Other than that, it really depends on where I am with different things. I usually run a every 2 weeks design night, so I might get to play games there. Those wouldn't be published games. They'd be like I made a group with the local designers, and they bring their games and my games, and we play them all. But other than that, it might be like on the weekend or something. Like, definitely not as often as I'd like. I wish I could just play games every day, but publishing takes up a lot of time, especially like during Kickstarters and leading up to the Kickstarter. Like maybe the month or month and a half before a Kickstarter, it's just like I have to do the bare minimum of playing other games because I have to do so much to get ready for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I definitely would say if somebody's ever watches you on Twitter, they can kind of see that because, all of a sudden you'll be like active, and then just quiet. Because right now you are in that build up to a Kickstarter that's about to launch. And you can see that that is a lot of work, and you're pretty much a one-man, operation, aren't you?
Yeah. My husband Nick helps out with things. He doesn't want to be like the front person, and he has a lot of other interests where I'm like full on with game design and development and all the publishing and stuff. So I do design. I did sign Fire in the Library and Dreams of Tomorrow.
Okay.
So I do a little bit of both.
All right. So how did you go about finding those games? Did they just kind of spring out of your local group, or did you use an unpub or something like that?
So Fire in the Library is kind of a funny story. One of the designers, his name is Tony Miller. and he is the bearded rogue. He's on Breaking Into Board Games.
Sure.
For when I first got it started with Twitter, Tony was one of the first people that I tweeted to, got to know a bit. We were both going to Gen Con one year, so I think somehow we decided to meet up and play each other's games, and that's the first time I played Fire in the Library, and we gave each other feedback, and then we just continued to talk. We met up again at Origins. I got to play Fire in the Library again, and then it was after that Gen Con a bit. That's timeline-wise, I just finished the Stellar Leap campaign, and I heard him talking about Fire in the Library and pitching it to publishers and going through the motions and stuff, and he kept on getting this feedback where the publishers really liked the game, but they already had a Press Your Luck game. And so I got to hear him talk about that, and that kind of kept going through my mind where I was like, oh, yeah, I agree, it's a really good game. It's a Press Your Luck game. Apparently every publisher needs one, but only one. And also, I'm not going to design a Press Your Luck game. That's just not the mechanic that I would design around, typically. So I was thinking about that, and so I was I went to Tony, and I was like, hey, I should sign your game. And at that time, I wasn't as good at talking as I am now. And
it's the introvert in us rearing its head again.
Yes, for sure. So, not to say I'm great at it now, but at the time, I think that was at Gen Con, I don't think he understood what I was saying at all. I think he completely misinterpreted it. Once I explained it, he was like, yeah, of course, let's do this. So that's kind of how that one started, was just, we were friends. Well, part of it was that to get into distribution, you either need to have, a really big following, your Kickstarter needs to do, 1,000 backers, or you need to have, 5 games. And I was like, well, getting into distribution would be really nice, so I don't have, stacks of games everywhere.
Kind of important.
So that's how I got into the whole signing thing, because I was like, well, if I sign a game with a friend, we'll both benefit, and also I'll get games out faster.
Interesting. I think I kind of assaulted him at Origins this year because he kind of put out a tweet, and he's like, if anybody feels like running up and giving me a hug while I'm at Origins, just come up and grab me. And I did just that, and I think I kind of freaked him out a little bit because I came running out of a booth because I was in the middle of a demo, which kind of told everybody at the table, I'll be right back, and then I just run and hug a man I've never met before in my life. But he just seems like the guy who needs a hug, right?
Yeah, well, Andy gives great hugs.
He did. He's just I texted him later, and I'm like, hope it didn't weird you out, and he's like, oh, I was a little out of the situation, but not at all. So he's an awesome guy. I really love him, and he's one of those people who I always look to, and I look to his posts because he always makes me smile. So awesome. So you say it's Push Your Luck. What other things? Because let's be honest. We just had Ex Libris come out. Do we really need 2 library games? So what makes this? And let me also tell you, I love Push Your Luck. So you kind of have a sold audience. But what makes this different? What's going to set this apart? And why should they go out and get this?
So, one, it is a library game, and libraries are amazing. I mean, of course, there should be, at least 5 library games.
It's just the beginning.
I mean, yes. So, in the game, you are a librarian, and you're saving books from a burning library.
Okay.
So, imagine if you're the first one rushing in to save the books. You are rushing, you're not looking at where you're going, you're going to be a little risky. So, there's a variable turn order in this, too. But the first player, they go in and you reach into the library bag and you pull out a cube. And that cube, it could be one of 4 different book colors, the white, black, purple, and yellow. If you pull out a book, that's wonderful. You
Sounds
saved
good.
the book. Almost. You have to actually escape the library with the book intact to save it. But you could get a fire where... the fire is the red cube. So if you get a fire in a safe spot, you're okay for now. But if you get a fire cube in a risky space, or you get 2 total fire cubes on your turn order card, you burn all the books. But if you burn stuff, you destroy books, you increase the values of those books until, like, if you burn a book and it's at 7, you destroy that section of the library. The library collapses in. So
That's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. The game immediately will end if you are that reckless one that needed to go in and get another book, but actually you got a fire, so
That's fair.
you just
That's
destroyed everything. And the game is really fun because you don't really know when it'll end. It could end whenever somebody is like super risky. Like, there's been times where somebody just got like, they're like, oh, I have 4 white books right now. I should risk it and try to get another, white book. And then it's like, oh, they got a fire. They destroyed 4 cards of the white section, and it's just destruction before it usually is.
Right.
But you are a librarian, and librarians are pretty smart at stuff. You're not a great librarian, though, because otherwise this would be like a co-op game. So you're a good enough librarian that you can use tools, and these tools can help you mitigate your luck or put out the fire. Like, there's a bucket, and if you start a fire, you just use the bucket. You can take the fire cube, put it on the card, and keep drawing books. So yeah, I think it's different because, one, the theme is really good, but also there's an amount of strategy involved.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Now, you said that's currently on pre-order, so probably around when this show drops, it'll still be available. Where can people find that?
So if they go to fireinthelibrary.com, it'll take them to the pre-order page.
Well, there you go. You can't expect much more than that. And chances are it'll take you somewhere good even after the pre-order's done, I would guess, right? Because, you're tech savvy and smart like that, unlike people who put up websites and forget about them, right? Because we've all been there.
Like, for instance, stellarleap.com takes you to the Amazon listing.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I think this is a great place to take a quick break. So we're going to pause for this an intellectual insight from Mr. Patrick Hillier. So we'll be right back after this. Pontifications with Patrick Hillier.
2 boll weevils grew up in South Carolina. One went to Hollywood and became a famous actor. The other stayed behind in the cotton fields and never amounted to much. The second one, naturally, became known as the lesser of 2 weevils.
Welcome back. I'm still here with Miss Carla Kopp. And of course, Gil is still here, manning the bar. Although I think he's really just drinking. He's feeling a little shy, which is weird because, if you know Gil, he's not. He's not.
You didn't know. I just came for the drinking. You thought I came to help? Why?
I'll feed you too. I mean, it's only fair. I made you drive an hour and a half. Now, the other service Gil provides is he's also one of he helps me get games from Game Surplus because he lives very local to them. I don't, so he will occasionally be my local mule.
Somehow all my friends thought that I'm some kind of delivery guy. That's all I do now. Yeah. I hope Carming will start paying me well.
But on that topic, isn't that kind of what you do for a living?
Not exactly, but yeah.
One
sure.
of the jobs. One of the hats.
I do many jobs.
Indeed,
one has to survive.
So speaking of jobs, Carla, you kind of told me that you actually decided your college major by flipping a coin.
So I grew up in very rural. Like, my parents were both retired. I didn't get to see a lot of people like working in jobs. Like, the only jobs I knew about were like teachers because I went to school, and like retail, like people in stores and people like doing food service and stuff like that.
So there's not a lot of take your daughter to retirement day kind of activities, right?
Yeah, it was like that. And like all my family, like I was the first one who went to college. So my first, I went to community college and I was like, I want to do biology. I want to be a doctor. Because I also knew about those people. But
Sure.
it turns out that I am terrified of blood, and that was a dumb decision. Like,
Hopefully you
I can't
found out
hold
early.
blood. Yes, I did. So the biology curriculum was the same as the engineering curriculum.
Interesting.
Luckily enough for me, I didn't make some terrible choice where I'd be like, oh, I have all these credits for this job I am very, very ill-suited for. So I think it was in calculus where I was talking to other people, and they're like, yeah, engineering. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do this too because I like the math. So, yes. And then at some point when you're like in the general engineering curriculum, you have to choose what kind of engineer you're going to be. I liked differential equations. I was one of those, weirdos, I guess, that, actually liked that stuff. I was told by the professor that it's used a lot in both aerospace and electrical engineering.
Okay.
And I was like, both of those are cool. And I don't know anyone that's doing either job. What's the better choice? And I could have thought about it for a while and chosen some other way, but I was like, you know what? They're both probably legit choices, so let's just, leave it up to God or the coin or whatever. and the coin flip said electrical, and so I went electrical.
So how
It was
did
a
that
pretty
work
okay
out?
decision. I mean, I have a degree in electrical engineering. I have
Right.
a master's too. Do I do that for my day job? No. I write software. Actually, like my first job is kind of like a funny story because I love robots. I went to this job interview and I talked about robots the entire time. I made it very clear I wanted to work with robots. Company, they made UAVs, which are like drones.
Right.
And stuff, and I was like, yes, I would love to do the control algorithms for these drones.
Sure.
And I got the job, and the first day I walked in and they're like, hi, you're a Java software writer. And I was like, what? You know how they tell you, like, oh yeah, you should stay in a job for like over 6 months or people will think that you are bad at jobs.
Right.
Well, I was like, okay, I'll do this Java thing. I hate Java still to this day. I will never do Java. Like it's just the worst.
It just
I don't
left
know.
such a deep wound.
So you know what is in Huntsville, Alabama?
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
It's NASA.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we have actually the biggest research park I think in the U.S. Yeah, because we have Redstone Arsenal. We have NASA. We have like all the other tech companies that are here. So it's like a weird.
But-
Yeah, it's like we're a bunch of nerds out here in the South. I don't know.
Who knew? Who knew?
I have to say for the record though, I can own a food stand or a shoe sales store. If somebody comes to me and say, I love to build robots, I want a job, I'll give a job, even if I have a restaurant. And they're going to ask me like, what does that person do? I said, I have no idea, but she likes to build robots.
Right.
That's implied.
So I'm not gonna lie, the first time, like every time I've turned on a robot and seen what it does, it just tries to attack humans. So yeah, you have to like really quick like get that off switch. Or like one time I was using like a robotic hand and it like went for the like face,
Really?
but it was stuck. So it was
Okay.
okay. Like
No.
it could only go that far, and so yeah, like but I don't think they'll actually like get that much of like human like intelligence or anything like that because like humans are also pretty dumb. Like we haven't figured
We
out
are.
machine learning that well. Like there was this article about Amazon where they tried to like use machine learning to get applicants.
Right.
And it turns out the AI, it's not really an AI, they just called it that.
Right.
Anyway, it was super sexist.
Who knew?
Sure. They feed in a bunch of like male applications and the AI is like, oh, so you want a man. Anything that said women's like chess champion, they're bad at software, right? They
Wow.
should not be considered. So
Interesting.
I have been able to kind of use my robotic stuff a little in game design. So
Okay.
I'm really passionate about solo design. Whenever I sign a game or I design my own games, I always add in like a robot player so
Okay.
that the solo person has somebody to fight against.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an analog robot. Or, like, draw a card, look at the icons on it, and based on what the icons are, do this other thing. It's
All
really
right.
simple.
But then the other good thing about that is it introduces balance because it's not completely random and it's not just completely reactionary either, which can be a problem in solo games because then you just figure out the computer and you can win.
Well, in Dreams of Tomorrow, there's like a 25% chance that one of these four things is going to happen.
Right?
So we
Makes
just
sense.
don't know which one.
Well, people has this idea of the AI computer will take over the world, and they don't realize that we're probably going to become machines before we build a machine that's going to take over the world, right? Don't you think that's going to be more
Yeah.
probable than the whole Matrix thing? So we're probably going to all start cybernetic, enhance ourselves before we let machines taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool because, like, I'm not that old, but I already start hurting and stuff. So, I mean, I'd prefer if my knees were robots,
Yeah.
versus, like, the knees I have right now.
Or little like nanites that can just go in and fix everything. Like
Yeah.
that's the one I'm rooting for before I die. Like if I die, if they come around, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So let's circle back. So you go, you get this degree, you find a job and you find employment. What the heck happened that made you say, you know what? I think I want to have my own game company and then come up with a super cool name on top of it. So how did that come about? Because obviously you're playing games, and like I said, for owning a company, it hasn't been that long. I mean, you've only been doing it for about 6 or so years. So what's that origin story like?
So I was at Dragon Con, which is a convention in Atlanta. It's like all nerdy things, all the like, kind of like a Comic-Con, all that put together. And I was just wandering around because you can only go to like so many panels a day because you have to like stay in line for like 2 hours
That's not fun.
to get into the good panels. Yeah, I don't go there anymore because Atlanta in the summer is so
They
hot.
call it Hot
and,
Atlanta
like,
for a reason.
Yeah, there's reasons, and you don't want to stand in a line outside for 2 hours. It's like, I like it warm.
I don't know
But
if I want to
it's
be
too much for
standing
me.
next to people who stood outside for
Yes.
2 hours at that point either.
Yeah, that was actually, so the reason I don't go anymore is because we had to like stay in line, and the person that was like the guard or whatever, the line
Sure.
person, I'm also really sensitive. Like I want you to not touch me. That's just my personal thing. Like I have this bubble, and please don't enter it.
That makes
I don't
sense.
know. I guess that's weird for some people, but I don't like to be like touched by strangers. So I was in this line, and they just wanted you to be like right up next to the person, and the person behind me was like going back and forth like this. So like every second, like they also had long hair, so their hair would touch me and like get in like, and it was just hot. And I was in line, and I would like freak out and go like, like, and just get out of line. But it was not nice. But then
No.
the line guard would be like, get back in line. And I'd be like, okay, I guess I really want to see Patrick Stewart. And so I guess I'll like be right here. And then it would go until like I'd like freak out again because I can't deal with like the sweaty man's hair and the touching and the stuff. And then I was like, you know what? It's not worth me to pay a lot of money to do this and then stand outside and get touched and stuff. And I could just go to Gen Con.
Right. And for all of what? Like 15 seconds worth of something? Or maybe a panel? Like maybe it would be
Yeah,
an
like
hour
the
long.
panels are like an hour and they're
Okay.
nice. And like I got to see almost all the entire cast of Firefly before. So like there's memorable things. But
Sure.
that was also the first year that I went to Gen Con. And I went to Gen Con and I was like, whoa, I can reach my hands out and I don't touch others.
And we
And it
think
was
Gen
like this
Con's completely
magical
crowded, so that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, because like Dragon Con is like you're gonna touch people, like you're gonna run into them, like it's just fully packed all the time. Maybe they've gotten better, but they've probably gotten worse because it
So
just keeps
it's
on
a
growing
full
and
contact
growing.
con, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So
And like if you don't want to be touched, then maybe don't go.
I feel the need to like wear hula hoops around me just to keep everybody out of my personal space now. So how did the Weird Giraffe come to be?
I had gone to a panel at Dragon Con about how to create a board game.
Right?
And during the panel, I got to see like this 8-year-old kid. He could have been anywhere from like 6 to 12. I'm not good at kids. We're gonna say he's 8. So he went up there and he's like asking all these questions about board game design to these panelists, and I was like, whoa, this 8-year-old kid can do this. I could probably do this, right? And another thing in the panel they really emphasized was like to create a board game, you just need to have note cards and a pen, and you just write your cards on the note cards, and like then you have a game. You have like all your cards, you can play test, you can do whatever. Anyone can be a board game designer. I started talking about this panel I went to, and we conveniently had note cards in the car. So we all started like thinking up all these ideas for a different card game. Then like I think I dropped it for like 2 or 3 months, but then I found like the notebook that we had written everything in and the note cards, and I was like, you know what? I just need note cards. Let's do this. Let's make a game. And I made the game, and I was like, whoa, it plays like a real game. After that, it was like doing, like I research a lot. Like I go on Google and I just type stuff in and I learn things. And
Right.
I found Jamie Stegmeyer's website blog. That was the first thing I found. So I read like all his Kickstarter lessons, and it was like, okay, you kickstart the game you designed. Okay, I can do that probably. I have acquired all this knowledge. And Jamie is always like really positive and talking about like basically how anyone can do anything.
Absolutely.
Which was probably like not so good for everyone, because I was like, yeah, I could do this too. And then I went through it. But the actual name of the game. So sometimes I think I'm really clever, and I'm actually not.
I know the feeling,
but I get
believe
really,
me.
yeah, I get really excited about things. So when we were trying to figure out the name of the game, so it was with, we started off with 4 people in the company, and okay, it could have my name in it, like Cop. And I also like Okapis. So it could be like Okapi, but spelled with my name, because everyone knows what an Okapi is. So I presented my idea to them, and they just looked at me like I was just dumb, like, what is this name that she's saying? And I was like, okay, I will prove to them that this is a good name. I will make a logo, and then they'll have to love the name, right?
Of course.
So I grew up in the 90s, so I know how to pixelate things, like, and pixelate is like,
The
those are all
8-bit,
pixels.
16-bit, yeah.
Yeah, 8-bit stuff. So
Yep.
I actually have the shirt on now. So it's like the little 8-bit Okapi, and I got so excited. I did the 8-bit Okapi with Okapi Games, and I presented it, and they gave me the same like blank stares, and I was like, oh. And the Okapi is the only other living relative to the giraffe. They're both in the giraffid family, and so I was like, well, an Okapi is kind of like a weird giraffe. So, Weird Giraffe Games, I presented that. They were still pretty like, eh. And I was like, well, this is the name. If anyone cares enough to change it, they can change it, and they have to make a logo. And well, none of them did.
I love it. I mean, it's so specific, and, you know, I love the logo. I love 8-bit style anyway.
So, and I've learned that actually people don't know what the Okapi is, so
No,
I
I
guess
kept
I'm
thinking you were
spreading
saying
knowledge that
alpaca
way.
wrong.
Oh, alpacas are pretty cute too, but no,
Right.
okapis are their own. They actually, so they live in the forest.
Now you're going to
It
go make
blends
me look
in.
it up and put a picture up on, you know, the screen so everybody can now know what this animal is. So where's it native to? So like when I do my search, I get it right.
It's either South America or Africa. It's in the jungle.
You do that. You do a couple of the card games, right? And you do a couple games that are based on that. We fast forward to Fire in the Library and Stellar Leap. You know, Dreams of Tomorrow, which is now, I guess, at the time that this should drop, it might actually be on Kickstarter. So what's this one all about?
In this one, you're a dream engineer, and the future did not go as we thought it would.
Never does.
It never, well, yeah, like, things went bad. That's all the, like, future things. I want to just see a future thing where it's like, everyone is happy and things are great. And, like, that might give me some hope for the future, but, like, if we saw that, it would be kind of boring or something.
Yeah, it's called Star Trek The Next Generation, by the way. But
Yeah. Well, there's still problems. There's Klingons. There's things happening, time travel and stuff.
We just can't get along.
But yeah. So, how we're gonna save the current present is by sending dreams into the past, so that those people can like get the dream, change their actions, do something better. Okay. And the actual game, it is a set collection, shifting rondel game, or action spaces. If you don't know what a rondel is, I actually learned that most people don't know what rondel means.
That's
I don't
sad.
know. Go figure.
That's just sad.
I know, rondels are so fun.
Some of my favorite games.
It is made up of 4 cards, and each of the cards has 2 spaces on it, and you go around the rondel that way. But the shifting part is that if you have a certain dream, like, so you go and you can capture dreams in your dream catcher, and with ultimately the goal of weaving the dreams into a dream sequence to send into the past.
Okay.
But while the dreams are in your dream catcher, or if they're at the end of your dream sequence, you can use abilities that are associated with them. And these abilities can swap cards in the rondel from like one spot to another. They can flip the cards over. They can do like a large variety of things to like cause this rondel so you can go to the action space that you want.
So you said that's going to be, well, that'll probably be up for a few weeks. I think you said like through first week of November. And
yeah, till November 8th.
All right. So if you've seen this before then, I encourage you to go check it out because I'm sure it's going to be great. We definitely know the production's great because Fire in the Library came out gorgeous. So you obviously have those ducks in a row. So.
Yeah. So the artist is James Masino, who has only done 2 other board games, Warco and Highways and Byways. But he is so fantastic. Like, he's made this really beautiful, like, sci-fi, fantasy-ish, dreamish thing. I really wanted to go a different direction than, like, the typical dream games, because most dream games are either, like, Dixit or, is it Mysterium, where, like, they're just kind of weird, or, like, the fluffy dreams where it's, like, all pastels. Well, like, Dreams of Tomorrow, it's, like, more sci-fi-ish, and it's really bright and rainbowy, and...
So you know what? I think this is a great time to take a break, because I think it's time for us to play a game, because we do that on this show. I don't know if you know that or not, but we like to play a quick little game. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. Hello, listeners. I hope you're enjoying things so far. This week's game, unfortunately, was very, very visual. And while there were definitely some funny moments, it just doesn't work in audio form. I apologize. So with that in mind, we are going to start posting the games in separate little segments on YouTube. So you don't have to watch the whole show again, but perhaps you might want to go check out the game. Believe me, they're definitely worth checking out. They're one of my favorite parts of the show, but it really just didn't make sense to put it in. We'll leave them in when they count, but, you know, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you can catch all the games that we play with our guests. So until then, let me return you to your regularly scheduled program. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our efforts at comedy and fun, please support us on Podpledge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to engage with us on Board Game Geek Guild 3134. You can also check us out on our website, GameAllNightShow.com. and this show has been made possible through supporters like these. Game All Night is proud to be sponsored by Game Toppers. Check them out at GameToppersLLC.com, upgrading your gaming experience. Angry Octopus.